Hello and welcome, listeners, to another episode of Tactical Awareness. My name is Ash, and today I'm joined actually in the GMG studio by none other than Owen, and we make up 2/3 of the podcast that is Tactical Awareness. We are fresh back from Wisconsin, from Milwaukee at Adepticon 2025, where we both played in the Adepticon Infinity Sattellite tournament with interesting results. So join us now as we recap the event, talk about Owen's first place list, my rather interesting games, and we'll get this underway.
Maybe it's if you build them.
You're being such a shitbag today.
What are you talking about? It's like the crux of the whole discussion.
There's no discussion. And it doesn't matter. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tactical Awareness. Yeah. No, and we're back. It's just me and Owen today because Dan was punk. And
Dan's a loser. He had to work.
He's a bitch. He had to work. He can come with us. And we're fresh back from Adepticon. So this is the Adepticon recap episode of Tactical Awareness. And as a break from our Heroes to Zeros, we're currently in the middle of the JSA, I think, airing.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it would be JSA. And this is coming off schedule. So this will be midweek. This will come out. And it'll be a rare one where there's like a video element potentially too that we'll have on YouTube where people can actually see us talking, which is fun because we drove fucking 18 hours back and forth to Milwaukee and got to play in the new venue, and it was a 50-person Sattellite tournament, and shocker, spoiler, Owen's gone to 2-0
two satellites,
two satellite events, and he came first place with his completely different army. Vanilla Aleph.
Played totally different
army, not assassins. It's still okay. So I had this argument with you on the way home.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about our games. We'll talk about the events.
I realized after thinking about it, it is totally different.
Sure.
The method with which it wins.
It still plays to your style.
Okay.
Which is, I don't want to fight you. I want to make you have to work to get to me. I don't do anything during my first couple turns. Then I do the objectives.
Right.
And I win. I'm not saying that the armies are the same.
The reason I say that is that, and you can see it in the way we played our game.
Sure.
So you don't like it because I'm going to stop you.
Listen, no, you're being pedantic about something that we're arguing different points is what I'm trying to come to. But go ahead, finish your thought.
Maximus has no allegory in my other lists.
The ARs.
No.
Yes, because they can reach out and kill shit, and he can too.
They can't do it. They have to be precise in what they fight.
Sure.
He doesn't. He can do whatever he needs to do.
It doesn't matter. It's still the piece that goes and kills things. You have the piece that goes and kills things at range.
Okay, well, now we're getting down to the bottom, but
and you can't see it, so it can't die until you decide to reveal it. And then you just fucking disappear again afterwards.
Fair enough. They fight.
I agree. There's no big center thing like there is with Maximus.
Right. Because the whole list is built around protecting him.
Sure.
That's the whole gimmick. And the method with which they do it.
We should probably talk about the army list then.
Probably.
Before we actually get going and talk about what you took. So my doesn't need really a recap because I took my I did no preparation. I didn't read the tournament I didn't read anything. I just drove and took my Corregidor from Cold and Carbonite and didn't think at all about being in the tournament or not being in the tournament because if there was a first spot that was only one available, then we were going to let Owen do it because it was already booked up and we decided to go.
Right.
And so it's the same exact list. Gator, 2 Morans with boarding shotguns, Salute, Evo Hacker, Missile Bot, Flash Bot, TR Bot, and that's Group 1. Group 2 is McMurrow, and my 4-man core team, which is the Mo Brigadas, the Lieutenant, with the Tin Bot, -6, Jazz to benefit from it, Aguasil, FO, and then the Dactyria Doctor, because he counts as an Aguasil, so he gives me the bonus dice for those guys if I need them too.
Yep.
That's it. That's my list. And then you took a totally new list, not your assassins. You did Vanilla Aleph, totally built around Max, as you guys have already heard. So what else was in the list?
Maximus, Danavis, K2.
Killer Hacker Danavis, right? Or
No, Hacking Device plus Upgrade Oblivion plus 1 burst.
He doesn't have Trinity. Oh, interesting.
That's why I never Trinity'd when we played the other.
Gotcha. I assumed he had Trinity. Yeah. I assumed the Oblivion was the upgrade on the Killer Hacker.
Right. Well, he's a Hacking Device plus with that Trinity. K2 Auxiliary with Paramines, which are relevant. And then Mark II, Mark IV, Sniper and HMG. 3 Net Rods, Flash Pulse Bosses, Baggage Bot, Group 2, Sofatech, 2 Day Ones with Chain Rifles, Flaming Spears, Missile Bot, and another Baggage Bot. And that's my 16 models, 15 orders.
And there's a lot of, so my favorite comment was after you won the event and we were driving home for 9 hours, because we've had 9 hours to talk about this. The first comment that you read off of Discord was, "This list baffles me."
Yeah, like I got pinged by somebody in my local
and then it was
community.
9 hours of people being like, "This is a bad list. How did this list win?" Because everyone wanted to understand the way that the list was mechanically powerful. And off the top, what do you have to say about that? Because I don't think the list is mechanically powerful. I think the list is really good at playing the way you like to play.
It is made to play these scenarios.
Sure.
And every guy has a job to do within those scenarios, dependent on what they run into. So, like, is it mechanically powerful? Yes. Asterisks. In these scenarios. At doing these jobs. With the context of what you're going to play against.
So let's talk about some mechanically powerful pieces in here then. And we'll start with Max.
Because he's the clearest, right? He's Max Lieutenant is the first guy. And Max is mechanically a really powerful model. He might be one of the most powerful, with only people like the Hatamoto competing with him, because
he has the most wounds, I think, of anybody in the game.
Certainly the most functional wounds that I can think of.
Yeah, he's got. I don't think there's anyone else with a 4 wound stat.
I don't think so, but I can think of like a 3 with a no wounding cap. That's kind of where I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I'm thinking,
Ajax is 2 no wounding cap.
Like Hector's 2 no wounding
tags
cap.
Are all legit 3.
Yeah,
right.
I guess I'm thinking of 3. Kitty, because Kitty can function 1-2, take 2, and wake up again.
Sure,
but like that's just a damage. It's not quite the same thing.
Not quite the same thing. Yeah.
Anyway, more of a story. It's 4 wounds, immunity, armor.
Yep.
Which means when you fight tags, you tend to use special weapons to kill them because they're tough, and then. If you can't use that, then the next one is melee, because melee is the next solution usually against a tag. But he's a very competent melee fighter, unlike most tags. Some tags are like decent, like your Gator is a decent fighting tag, but he's not great. He's fine. He fights anyone who's not natural born warrior. He's got a pretty good odds against. But Maximus is just good against everybody. And so all you have left is hacking. He is susceptible to hacking like any other tag. But even then, he can't be possessed. So he still has a resistance in another way on top of
does not care about total control at all.
You can't possess him. And so what makes him mechanically powerful? Well, first off, he's one of the toughest things in the game.
Can we talk about one other thing that makes him really, really tough that we didn't mention yet? Is it's almost if you give him a speedball, I think it's impossible. If you don't give him a speedball, it's actually impossible to kill him with shooting. Because he disappears into an Eclipse grenade because he has ejection system.
Yeah.
And he's the only guy, I think, left besides the Anaconda that has ejection
system. The Iguana
system.
still has it. Yeah.
Not the Anaconda.
Both of them.
They have it too in the Iguana?
Yeah, they both
where the
do.
pilot comes out into an Eclipse grenade.
Yep.
And you got to go fight this guy in melee. And unlike all these other pilots,
and
this guy
it's an Eclipse now.
That's an Eclipse grenade, right?
It used to be smoke.
It used to be smoke. So it's an Eclipse grenade that this guy disappears into as soon as he takes his last wound. And if you give him a Vitapack, that means he has to take 5 wounds potentially.
6 to actually kill him.
Yeah. And if you don't, he's just in this Eclipse cloud, and you got to go fight him in melee, and it's Maximus.
And he's still as good in melee, -1, I think. He's like a 23 instead of a 24, so he's great. And he's still durable, blah, blah, blah. So this is Maximus. And then his offensive ability is really limited. He has a Thunderbolt that counts as an HMG. Essentially, he does have an EM carbine, which is powerful because he has SR -1.
Yep.
And then he has a heavy pistol for short range. So he has no template, and he can't suppress. And those are his main challenges for fighting people. But yeah, he's there because he's the most durable lieutenant in a scenario pack that had firefight and decapitation. That's why he was in my list. There was arguments for the other leaders in other lists, but then as I played more games with Aleph, this was my vulnerability. My lieutenant would die, and I'd get into trouble.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Why bring a 40-point lieutenant with a 26-point chain of command when I can just bring a 76-point lieutenant who doesn't need a chain of command?
Yeah, that's right.
That was the logic that ended up winning out.
He's super powerful in decap, where he can't knock his head off. Like there's a bunch, and those were the missions, right? We had unmasking, we had firefight, we had supplies, and then it was decapitation, and
Capture and
protect.
Right.
And decapitation in particular was the final mission, so you knew you were going to be top table on decap.
Yep.
Which meant that having Maximus as a
That was
decap
the
lieutenant.
closest he got to dying in that event.
It was, yeah.
Where I went very aggressive against the O12 opponent after he had his first turn, and Maximus killed.
It was Torchlight, not a 12. Just to
fair enough. Yeah.
Sorry.
Against Maximus went all in, ran from the back corner to the opposite corner along the back edge, killing everything to the point where I was ahead on specialists, to the point where he no longer could catch me.
We'll get to that later, but
sure.
like it basically, short story long, he's incredibly durable.
Right. He still lived.
The other two I think that are super important are the day ones.
Is the day ones more important than the Sophatech and the Danavis?
I think the day ones and the Sophatech together, because I think the day one,
I don't think any one of these. I think you need them all.
That's what I mean, but
Yeah.
all together they're like a superpower team.
These four guys
I
all
just think
teamed
that
up.
the day ones are slept on.
I think the day ones are slept on. Yeah, the day one is the reinforcements box remote that came out. I made comments about it when that first got announced. I read it in the reinforcements and went, "This is the craziest model." Now they used to have climbing plus, and they lost climbing plus. That's the only thing they lost. They got flaming spears, chain rifles, or pulsars and blitzins and EM melee and shock melee, and they dodge really good and they fight pretty good, and then they're immunity enhanced. And so they come out like a Karakuri for half the cost.
Yeah.
They only have 1 wound instead of 3, but they get double level of no wounding cap and dogged. And so because they have dogged and 2 levels of no wounding cap and they have immunity, you can't kill them without an HMG. You have to use an HMG or get a perfect roll with like a combi or something.
It takes 4 wounds to kill them.
You got to do the 3. The losses first level, second. No, it is 4. Yeah. You need an HMG or a Spitfire. Yeah. And that's assuming he doesn't make any saves. And they, throughout the course of that event, were the majority of my casualties between them and the posthumans, because the posthumans were all the suicides and they were the follow-up.
And this is hilarious. This is hilarious to note that you had only 116 points worth of casualties over the tournament.
Yeah, 1,500 potential
1,500 victory points. You had 1,384.
Yeah,
which is insane.
Yeah,
that's less than 20 per game that you lost.
I lost about 19
you lost
per
like
game,
a
or
day,
0.
You lost a day one per game, basically, which is insane.
And pretty much that's exactly what it is. You'll see like 281 and 280.
You lose like a net rod in a day one, and that would be it. Yeah. And there's a reason for that we'll get to later on.
Right, which is the vulnerability of the list and why it's so baffling for people. So like those two are great. And then they duo, but they can also Harris. And the Sophatech is the third wheel in that triangle. And the Sophatech in the new edition is just a monster. She does everything. She's fast, competent, whip 15, extra wound because of no wounding cap, shock immune, turrets, cover, specialists who can heal and repair. I don't know what else to even say about it. She does her job. And then the Danavas is there because I can't afford an Asura. And he does a little Asura job. He shoots his pitchers. He gives me a little bit of a hacking threat. And I do have a missile bot.
Yeah,
and
he's got no, he gives you white noise, which I think is super important for your army because you have no visors.
Yeah.
So that's your like number one visor fight because you
don't worry, I never use that.
I know you didn't. Well, you didn't get to, but like that could have been.
Never mind our game. Any tournament.
I'm just saying that like there's a bunch of scenarios where you probably could have because I know what armies you played against. And there's a bunch of guys who had visors.
Yep.
That Danavis could have absolutely thrown white nose on Max, and Max is just like, let's go.
Yep.
I've now been -6 against all you guys. Yeah. That's a whole other play, but it does mean that you actually did not have any. You had to Oblivion to get rid of rival hackers. You didn't have any. Didn't have any Trinity.
Right. Yep. And again, the other side of the coin is that I did have a missile bot.
Yeah.
So that if I needed to, the ARO Spotlight guided option was on the table. It didn't come up a single game in that event. I never fired a guided missile, but it was there in case I played someone who I might need it, like against a Corregidor, like we played the game, and I attempted. And I could have done that elsewhere, but I didn't do it really in the tournament.
And you having access to baggage bots means that the value of those
Day one's pitchers and disposable.
Everybody had disposable equipment.
That's
all
true,
4 of them had disposable equipment.
The 5th guy does too, because the K2 is creeping around.
That's right.
And the K2 was the crutch in most games.
He was just an animal in the entire tournament.
Where he walks around with his burst 2 mine dispenser and shoots paramines.
His double shot paramines.
Yep.
And everybody's reloading. So you got a turret, a Mark 12 tournament on the
Yep.
Sofa Tag.
Deployable cover, because it came up in the tournament,
It
where
did.
what would happen is Max would walk up against a thing, and then she'd put the cover on the back side of him. So if anyone had a back attack against him, even if I didn't get a reaction, he'd be armor 12.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, that'll work.
Mark 12 is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty good, especially when you can't reduce it.
Yep. It's just Mark 12 all the time.
And then he'll turn around and blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, you have the Flamen Spears on the Day Ones. You have the Pitchers on the Danavas. You have the Mine Dispenser on the K2. All of these are just gear that we're refilling.
And that means you've got stand-up arrow pieces for days. They're
Yep.
super hard to kill. The day ones in the game that we played, which will be on, I think it's on Friday, actually.
He died like
Really
4
like that
times.
game. He died like 4 times.
Yeah.
And you reload their flame spears over. The only time they didn't reload their flame spears was when they were dead at the end of my round.
Yeah.
If they were unconscious at that point. But it's so hard to kill them in one go that if the Sofa Tech was nearby, you would just go and heal them. And otherwise, you have these like stand-up arrow pieces that are reloading every turn.
Yep.
So you're firing flaming spear after flaming spear. So it looks on paper like you don't necessarily have like a lot of long range reach out and touch you. Like you did have the proxies.
We
but
haven't talked about yet, and they were very important in almost every game.
Because they're your active fighting pieces. That's right.
They're the threat pieces for the most part, and the sniper was the ARO threat, and the HMG was where is Maximus not threat.
And very interestingly, you kept them as your reserve piece every game
Yeah,
because you get to reserve 2 models for no command points. And also that's
my understanding of how that works.
Yeah, they're a single trooper.
Yeah,
They're a
yeah.
single trooper. Yeah,
They're one guy. They count as one guy.
Yeah,
so that's what I've done.
it's like an auxilian.
There was no one who I encountered that any of us got confused. So if it turns out that that's wrong,
No,
as near as I could tell, that was true.
They
but
count as one trooper because it's the same as a peripheral with a controller.
that's my understanding because they all have ghost, so it's like the same boat. But anyway, before someone finds that and is like, "No, you can't actually hold both in reserve," maybe. But at that event, all of us let us do it. So. Did it change the game? Would it have just been the sniper? Yeah, it would have just been the sniper. It would have been just the same.
Either way, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, those two were super important in most of my games because they were the HMG was the opposite side of Max. And you saw it in even the games we play.
Yep.
He's on the other side, so I have a rapid fire gun. And the sniper is there to watch one thing. If I look at my opponent, what do I need to not let him do?
What can hurt Max? Yeah,
right?
what can hurt Max or what's going to stop me from doing the scenario?
Yep. And usually those are the same thing. Because whatever it is that could hurt Max is capable of stopping me. So that is the thing that sniper needs to look at. And that was what I did in every game. Yeah, every game I played like that, where it was... Like, I can go into my games themselves, but I guess the last thing about the list...
Yeah, just the last thing about the list before we get in. And then we'll get on Max.
Hacking is its vulnerability. This is not a surprise. You have...
Everyone said that. You have 8 out of your models that are hackable.
I think I have like 3 non-hackable models in the list. It might even be less than that.
Everyone's hackable. Like
No, I mean like legitimate shut them down.
No,
like,
you had. We did the math last night. You had 8 that were, and then you had 7 that weren't because you had 3 net rods, the 2 proxies.
but one of them's heavy infantry. So it's actually only one
he
proxy.
is hackable. Sorry, yeah.
And then it's the
One of
Sofa
the
Tech.
proxies. So it's 9, and then the Sofa Tech, the Danavis. Oh, I guess the Danavis
He's a hacker. Yeah, it's
The Sofa Tech is unhackable. The 3 net rods are
rods.
unhacker. That's 4.
and then the sniper.
And the sniper. So you've got 5 out of your 15.
Right. Of the 16 models
Yeah.
in my list, 5 are you can shut me down or isolate me hackers.
Yeah.
Or hackable. Yeah.
Very funny.
And so in that event, a lot of the times my guys ended isolated or immobilized, but not dead. And
Yeah.
so my score is
importantly, not
super
dead.
inflated because there's a lot of times where multiple guys would be shut down, but it didn't make any difference. So yeah. So games. My first game was against an ISS player.
Is unmasking?
Very new to the game, and our board did not help him in any way.
No, it did not.
It was a case of there's an upper layer in the middle that is hidden from most of the deployment zones.
I'm going to pull up his ITS tag just so we can shout him out too, because I'll pull up the thing. Keep going.
So I got to go first. He couldn't see with most things other than his like rocket and his Shen. Neither of whom are capable of stopping Maximus in the active turn. So Maximus just downs one and makes the other duck. And I shoot a pitcher and isolate and immobilize everybody in the pile. But then the nature of that board meant that Maximus, who's duoed with the Danavas just follows Maximus and then goes along the middle, pushing each objective one after another, revealing every HVT, and Maximus kills them as they walk. And so
This was D. Thompson, 1862. Dave? His name was? Dave?
no, it's not Dave.
Don?
Nope. I wanted
Darren?
to say his name was Dakota, but it wasn't. That's
okay.
a different person
That's
I played
different
later
Dakota.
on.
Yeah.
And I even made the same mistake when he told me at the beginning. I don't remember.
D. Thompson, 1862,
Yeah.
playing Yu Chang. And the total result was you got him 10-0, and it was 300-70 for VPs. You didn't lose any models.
Yeah. That one I just legitimately didn't lose any models.
Yeah.
And he went into retreat, or he only had a Quang Shi, and it was and Maximus was in the middle of them kind of thing. So there's no viable.
Who did all the unmasking killing? Who pushed the buttons, and then who went
Danavis pushed him, and Max killed them.
Because Max was just dragging him along, basically.
Yeah, and it was a case of there's an upper layer in the middle, and then Maximus walked past the upper layer from the bottom, and Danavis went up onto the upper layer. So the Danavis, who's whip 18 on 2 dice on masking, clicks a button. Maximus moves him towards the next button. Maximus kills the HVT as they're walking because there's nowhere to hide your HVTs other than up against the big structure. And so they just die. And I walked along, and in one turn, in like 5 orders, killed every HVT. And again, nothing you could do about it because of the combo of the board and just the turn order.
Yeah.
My second game is against Tunguska.
Yep. Exalted Exaltoten. And this is another one you got 10-2. And then it was 272-65. This is probably the toughest mission in the whole mission pack because
and
it's
we did
the
this
lowest
on
score.
the Aristea Thunderdome.
Yep.
That was the board we played on.
This mission is to get 6 of your 10 points, you have to have your opponent's beacon on turn 1.
Yeah.
It's one of the few missions where you can even grab something on turn 1 because most things you locked it until 2. And this one, it's like, nope, go get this thing in your opponent's deployment zone on turn 1 and hold it every round at the end of the round to score 2. And it's not turn, it's round.
Yep.
So if you're going first, it's a pain in the ass because you got to score it.
He won the roll for initiative and decided to go first. And he went back and forth on it for a while. And we both agreed that he should not have done that. But basically the issue was in that Thunderdome, he had a 5-man team of Hollow Men, all the fixins. So it's a very powerful offensive group. But they don't want to stand there while Maximus runs into them because they're all just going to die. Their guns don't work against him, and he'll beat them to death in melee. So his plan was... Oh, and also the tokens for that Capture and Protect are at both ends of the Thunderdome. They're in the dome itself, right next to the entry doors. And so you have to just walk across this dome to fight at the other end of it. And what I did was I just had all of my ARO pieces, which is to say the day ones... and the K2 and the sniper and the HMG and everybody was all just standing on my end of the dome, and he was standing at his end of the dome. And it became a case of if you activate that link, we're going to kill him because all my guys are going to shoot. And the one sniper was able to infiltrate to the side so he could see a second model at the start. So if you activate your link, you're going to start losing models. In retrospect, if he had gone second, he could have deployed after standing and done it to me, and it would have been much more challenging. But he did his push, and they died because that's how it was going to play out. Like the dice might have betrayed me, but the math was on my side. And then on my turn, the day ones marched into the arena and took his objective and walked back home. He made a play with like motorcycles on the side, and like Perseus came in, or Raoul, or one of those kind of drop troopers from Tunguska. He got killed by Pulsars and things like that. Like he went down killing a posthuman, and that's why I was down points. Yeah. But he went the wrong order. That's all it came down to. If he went second, it would have been much more difficult for me. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know how that game would have gone. Yeah.
And then your lowest scoring game of the tournament, this is the one where you didn't get 10. Yeah. It was against Brunix, and this was supplies. This is the end of the first day. Yeah. So we're playing supplies. You got 7-1. 231, 234. This guy actually is the guy who beat you up the most, too. Yep. Beat you up to 230. Killed 69 points with your stuff. He killed more than everybody else.
Both proxies. And the missile bot, I think. Or one of the proxies, the missile bot, and like a day one or something like that. Yeah. All the stand-up guys, basically. And yeah, that was a tough game. I mean, he definitely knew how to play. Like Bruno knew how to play this event, and like he had a solid... as much as as much as Yu Ching can be a solid faction. And And like,
so disrespectful to you, Chink.
yeah,
Immediately.
it's you, Chink, whatever. Don't worry about that. Not a real faction.
Not a real faction.
But yeah, and it was just a combo. And that was the mission where the K2 got to be the hero, where he walked up and he fired his mines right next to the Yanhao. So like, there was an amusing moment where I played him because I knew what he would do, where my sniper was put in such a way to see where the kitty, the Sang Sujan and his Yanhao were, because I wanted him to duck the cat closer to the Yanhao so I could shoot mines to hit both. And so I shot him once to get him to dodge back or hurt him, whichever happens. He ended up dodging and he dodged away, which you should do. But in doing so, it meant that the mines could be put down without having to fight anyone. Yeah. And now I hit him with both. And so I spent a ton of orders on my first turn, basically trying and failing to do classifieds, and then putting mines down right next to those two. Sniper shoots, both get immobilized. He spends way too much time trying to dig out of that immobilization. It costs him like 6 orders. He does get out of it with both, and so that's great. And
that's like half his turn.
It's most of his turn, because he lost a few models here or there. We trade missiles and bots and stuff, and then the second round, it's basically me just continuing the advantage. I kill Bixie. I kill a few little guys here or there. I finish some of my classifieds, and I kind of pull back in weight. And then his next turn, his second turn, which effectively was his final turn, he made in my opinion, the biggest mistake that lost him the whole game. The Yanhao's now free, has a hyper rapid cannon. Maximus is about 2 moves away, like 2 orders out of his 6 or 7 orders to get to Maximus to just start hyper rapid.
Yeah.
Not great against Maximus, but it's the best thing that is. And so he has to walk around the corner to shoot Maximus. But my sniper's still alive. And so he goes, I'm going to walk around this corner. And I go, okay, I'm going to shoot you in the open with my sniper. And he goes, oh, actually, do you mind if I stay here and we'll just fight? I'm like, yeah, no worries. And he sits there. And for 4 orders, he's shooting me on like 3s and I'm shooting him on 13s. And we go back and forth. And he kills my sniper. But it eats his whole order pool.
Yeah. Just can't crack it quickly.
Had he just cautious moved or just eaten the shot that one round, I'd probably lose Maximus that game. And because he didn't do that, he ran out of his orders before he got to go after Maximus. My following turn, Danaves shoots the pitcher, immobilizes the 2 of them. Maximus kills them both. And then my window for getting 9 points on this mission, I wasn't going to get 10, but my window for 9 was lost because I have 8 orders and I'm in the backfield. There's no one left who can stop me. And Maximus went and killed everything. His lieutenant and like 1 prone guy were alive. And he got his points by his lieutenant sneaking up and doing a classified.
That's why he had 34 points left at the end of the game.
And that was all that was left. Everybody died. And like, could I have stopped like 3 orders earlier and not kept killing and then done my classifieds and gotten more points? Yep. Did I think about it? Nope.
So you had your tightest game, round 3.
Yeah.
7-1. I took your most casualties. So round 4, new day, and we're playing. We opened with
supplies. Yes, supplies.
No, we just played.
Nope, that last one wasn't
supplies. It was
firefight.
Yeah, firefight. So we open with supplies, and it's against Fuwaru,
who is a. What army was he playing? He was definitely playing Tunguska, but none of those were Tunguska models. Every single model was a Corregidor model or a proxy, and
you scratch built a GoPod.
He had a scratch build.
Yeah. He scratch built.
Everything else was a proxy, and
But you 10-1 him 397.
Yeah, and like that's how the game went. But it was one of those like, I don't know. Like I play a lot of Infinity. I know all the models, and I always have a hell of a time when I run into the like.
I think the objection here is the proxies weren't things that weren't available kind of readily, like the Hollow Man.
But it was also a case of like, there's nothing wrong with Corregidor. Corregidor is a good faction.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. If you want to play a different faction, then collect the other faction.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Maybe it's out of like you can't get Toha.
Well, so it wasn't though. He was proxying a Mobrigata link for
multiple Mobrigatas
for Hollow Man.
For Hollow Men, multiple Aguaseals as Securitate.
Yeah.
Emily Handerman as Miranda, an Anaconda as a Gator or something, whatever had the hyper rapid.
It was the Salamandra.
Salamandra. Some other guys. Now there were some proxies of new models who don't have models yet, and it's like, okay, that makes more sense to me. And then he had some scratch built remotes that were acting as other remotes, and
it's hard to keep track of. Like when literally nothing's not a proxy,
right?
That's a hard game to play.
Yeah, and like I got to go first, and so my solution was I just killed as much as I could.
Yeah.
Like, I don't usually do that on my first turn because it's not the way that I feel you win games. Like, it's riskier.
It's riskier. It's much tolerance for risk. Right?
But for the sake of my ability to be able to play the game, I had to just kill as much as I could because I'm like, okay, there's 4 models left, and it's Tag, Miranda, GoPod,
I can
and
remember
one
what
other
those
guy.
are.
Like these ones I can remember, but which robot means which robot, and which guy means which guy, and like Amobrigada is a pretty tough guy with a tin bot who I shouldn't hack, but I could hack a jumping guy, but he jumps where these guys don't jump, and it's like, who could be your lieutenant? Fucking all of these models are lieutenant models. Alguacils can be lieutenants, so can Mobrigadas, but Hollow Men can't be lieutenant.
Yeah.
And
but
so
it
it's
like
like,
Brigada. Yeah.
who the hell is anybody? And so I like, it was very, I'm not going to say frustrating, but it was frustrating in the sense of like, I don't like proxies. I don't like the proxy culture in Infinity very much. I don't mind it if it's like a GoProd or the guy who didn't get released, perfectly fine.
Or if it's like a Fusilier for an Observer.
Sure, yeah. Gear on the same model, perfectly fine too. But it's when it starts becoming like, if there are more proxies than non-proxies, just play a different faction. They're all good, like, except for Ariadna. And maybe Yujing. But like the reason for doing so doesn't really jive with me anymore. Like, whatever the motivation
especially if some of it's available and the whole thing's proxies, that's really hard to keep track of.
And what just becomes like, if I'm that person, right? Like, I really want to play Kestrel. That was one of the things that I've wanted to play since Carbonite. Before Carbonite, I wanted to play Kestrel because they have so many tools and they have so many ways to play. But I've not done it. Not because I don't have a collection. I have a million models.
Yeah.
But it's because I don't want to proxy too much. And I'm like, if you're the majority of your army is pretending to be something else, just play the army that your army is. And like, it's probably pretty good.
Yeah, you have an
like,
army. Yeah. You had a Corregidor.
Mobrigors are good. Morans are good. Tags are good. Use an Anaconda. Like, proxy the Anaconda if you have to. Tags are annoying to buy new ones of. But like, that was where I started to run into. And yeah, that game, I mean, K2 fires thing. Sniper causes mines to go off. Mines stick Miranda and Tag. Maximus and HMG guy kill a bunch of nobodies. GoProd gets crushed by aero turrets and sniper and missile, and then he never recovers. And like, that's how the game goes. And it's welcome to I got to go first and you stood with everything.
Yeah.
But
well, final round then. Decapitation, BT Sherman, 10-4, 281-42. This is the guy I played in round 2.
Yeah.
My capture and protect game. And he's playing Torchlight.
Yeah, not Starmada. I keep thinking it's Starmada, but
Torchlight.
He goes first.
Yep.
Playing against Max. Got to kill lieutenants. He has Lieutenant Raveneye. He's got a wrecker. He's got infiltratey dudes. He gets caught up trying to get into gunfights right from the get-go. He has a Lynx trying to kill a dodging proxy. Shoots it like 4 times. I make like 8 armor saves. He's armored like 14s, whatever, but it's shooting DAs. And I just live. And I live with 1 wound, and I'm just standing there. But he spends most of his order pool doing that. And then he spends the rest of his order pool trying to kill the Danavaz, who just barely hangs on, like, again and again. Like, I make saves, and I can't hack him, and he's just alive, like, barely. And then because he didn't do really meaningful damage, my turn comes, and I just start killing things. And, like, his wrecker dies to a day 1, and his hacker dies to a day 1, and his sniper dies to a day... He died to Maximus.
Day one, Maximus.
Yeah, Maximus runs up. It's the game where the K2 doesn't do anything because he doesn't have any large target that the K2
He's not a juicy thing to paralyze,
If there's something that I need to stop, if it's really fast or if it's really tough, that's what the K2's there for, but there wasn't. So Maximus just goes, and I spend my entire order pool getting all the way across the board, killing every specialist and every guy I find. I kill his lieutenant, and I just leave Maximus standing there because I'm like, he's not going to kill him. He didn't. It got close. There was a moment there where he had him immobilized, isolated, immobilized A and B. So he could no longer declare AROs and was completely bricked inside of a repeater.
Oh my God.
And he was trying to, he moved his other guy up and was trying to take shots with his shotgun, but he couldn't get within 8 because there's like a million arrows that would see him. So he like misses a few, he hits a few, I take a wound, I take another wound, and he's like, all right, I'm just going to go for it. And he moves out. And he shoots Maximus, and he does 1 wound to Maximus, dies horrendously, and then Maximus is in Eclipse, and now impossible to kill.
Yeah, because you're hidden, and no one in that army wants to come fight you.
Well, they can fight him in melee. He's still immobilized and all that, but he's hidden in smoke, and it took a whole bunch of orders, and they have to walk the gambit of the turret, the sniper, the turret.
Everybody's watching that to get to him.
You couldn't walk directly into him, and so that was the game. Like, and we talked about it afterwards, and this was one of my takeaways from the entire event. No one crushed me hard enough in dice rolls at the beginning to just kill all my front line.
Yeah.
Like no one got that lucky. And I say lucky because it would be unlikely to kill them all rapidly.
And you have a choice of staying standing with Dogged or going prone and
be unconscious and stuff like that.
And the Subject just comes and fixes you.
No one won all of the face-to-face rolls off the bat when they went first. And so if I lose people, I lose day ones, I lose proxies and stuff like that. But then nobody just kills all my garbage support units. They don't go and kill the net rods and the flash pulse bots and the baggage bots. They always went after my guys, my Danavas and the Sofatech and the proxies. These guys were the targets the whole game when it was like, no, don't kill them. Like,
get out of my orders.
Shoot a pitcher. Don't shoot it at max because I'm going to deal with that one. If you shoot it into the middle of like the baggage bot and the flash balls, I'm not going to come save them. I don't give a shit if they get isolated. I'm not going to fix that, but I will fix it if you put it in the middle of my relevant pieces.
Right.
But you weaken me if you knock off those other guys. Nobody did it. It was always...
And a lot of people tried to hack you.
They went after Max. They went after the day ones.
Max, they went after the day ones. And that was like one of the things where if you're spending a 30-year order pool over the course of the game doing hacking attempts, that's why you have this high survival rate.
Yep.
Is like immobile and like you isolate those day ones. They don't care. They're going to make an order move and still reload. They reload if they're isolated and still shoot all
They're
their
going to ARO missiles at you and dodge towards you and do all those things. So you have to hit them with both the immobilized and the isolate. Now you're doing one order to move, one order to shoot a pitcher, one order to isolate, and you're just
kind of playing patiently and letting them wear themselves out to the point where then they can't fight Max.
And then they've spent their entire order pool disabling a like 19-point guy.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and he's still victory points on the table,
and I might just fix him.
And he might just like get out of it at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, and the Carbonite they just get out of because they dodge on 13 still.
Because it's still a reset.
Dodge.
It's a reset.
Oh, it's still a reset.
It's on a 9.
Sticky. It's not a sticky.
Yeah.
It's not a sticky.
But again,
weirdly they get out of pair on 10s.
Yeah, they're
dodge +3. They're real good at getting out of that.
They're real good.
Yeah. So anyway, end of the thing. You get the overall. You've got your ticket now to either Interplanetary or the Krug.
Yeah.
And we have one of the organizers for the Krug come and invite us. It's the Colorado Krug is the big North America version of Interplanetary. It's going to start ITS season 17, which sounds really cool.
Yeah.
And you've now back-to-back your 2 satellite tournaments. You only made 2 tournaments this year. Yep. Just those 2. That's it.
All I played.
You've been to exactly 2 ITS season 15 tournaments. You can go look at the ITS record.
Yep.
And you won them both. So good job, Skippy.
Yeah. Well, the next tournament I'll probably go to will be Hell's Basement in Medicine Hat later on.
And you got to retire
another faction.
That's it. He's retired. Every time he wins one of these satellites, he retires the faction. So he's retired to Hack Islam. Now you're retiring Aleph.
Yeah.
What are we going to look at for next? We had a big debate. We had a 9-hour debate about this on the way home. I said Yu Chang, but he's refusing to do it.
I'm not going to play Yu Chang.
He's never going to play Yu Chang. He has an irrational hatred for Yu Chang.
I'm not going to play Yu Chang. So there's like 3 standouts. Okay. It's like Kestrel, because I've been talking about Kestrel the whole time.
If you want to win, take Kestrel. They're great.
And then you
have all the models. You got all
Torchlight,
the models in Adepticon, and Torchlight,
who I just got. But then the other sneaky one is all of the combined armies, because I just repainted all of them.
You did,
and I did have an agreement to try and have them ready for Hell's.
I think you should take them to Hell's Basement for sure.
I think that, which also means we got to go get some more Zeodrons, because if I'm playing that faction in Hell's, I'm going to bring
Zeodrons.
5. I'm going to bring 4 Zeodrons.
I think there's a box of Zeodrons Lords of War.
4 Zeodrons and Overdrawn, and then other models. The other models don't matter, because it's just those 5. And I think it depends. They haven't announced the scenarios yet. So like there might be a reason that I can't do that because of like, in this mission I'd just be incapable of doing it or something like that. So that might change, but that's like the front runner out of all of them. Yeah. Yep.
Sweet. Well, that's it.
Infinity. Adepticon tournament.
My results are I came 10th. Yep. I had a very tight game round 1. Because I killed too hard. And at the end of round 2, the game was going to end. Yep. Because I put him in retreat, and I was afraid the guy was not going to get another turn, so I had to kill that guy. And he killed all of my all of my whatchamacallits, my HVTs in his round 2, and so I had all of round 2 to basically kill them, and that was it. So I managed to get the last one and pull ahead by 2, and then the wheels came off the car, and I was fixing the plane. So rounds 2 and 3, I just could not get a dice roll to work. Everything fell apart. I got double crit blinded by my gator got double blinded by a Warcore in the beginning of round 3.
Yep.
I had a perfect stack of classifieds to try to do that one, because you get 3 classifieds in firefight.
Yep.
I had identify HVT, bully HVT, assassin HVT, and my wildcat could do all of them. And I got friggin' shot in the open by a hidden Raiden crossing a gap and blown to pieces. And then my gator was blind. I had no one to fix him. I had to drop my speedball. McMurray had to like smoke him and then drop my speedball to try and get him out of it. Went out to kill the Warcore again, immediately got blinded again. Another crit blind. So it was one of those ones where just like literally everything fell apart.
Yep.
And and then the same thing happened in round 2. And then rounds 5 and 6, I was finding my weight class of other equally unlucky people. And I managed to get 2 more wins.
I guess we didn't talk about the one secret game I had in between the day 1.
Oh, that's right. Where you taught someone how to play.
I quietly joined a last day of like a casual event as a ringer.
Yeah.
And played against a guy who had not really played very much, and he was playing Shazvasti, and he just dumpstered.
He just crit you into oblivion.
Just killed everything I have.
That guy's gonna feel so good. He's played
roll.
like 3 games of Infinity, and he beats the guy that won the Sattellite event in just a horrendous explosion of dice.
It was like, Ajax is gonna run up, kill your lieutenant, kill some guys, and then go and get ready to kill the She-Skin, and then just.
And it was only 250. It wasn't the same list.
She-Skin dies, or She-Skin kills Ajax and eats him, and then like. Hector gets killed by a Speculo
Steel Phalanx.
I was playing Steel Phalanx because I wanted to play a little bit of something else, and then like the Cadmus lands his landing, but he lands right behind Atalanta.
Oh my god!
Atalanta fails to turn around. He scans Atalanta. Atalanta fails to turn around. Now he's BS-21.
BS-21 with a shotgun.
Shoots Atalanta in the back and kills her. And then
how about I had up-down crits on a boarding shotgun? How's that feel?
The what is he called? The Noctifer missile launcher just kills Penny, then shoots Hector and kills Hector, then shoots the Maki and kills the Maki.
So basically, what happens
everybody
is
dies.
all of his any possible bad luck he had got shaken out.
Just burned all that off.
Burned all the bad luck off in between days, and then came back lucky again. All your karmic deck got paid.
Everything kind of worked out. Yep.
Yeah, it all worked out. So we'll be back next week with more JSA coverage. We did Shinamute as our second one. So it'll be Shinamute on Monday. So if you guys enjoyed this, we'll see you for more Infinity stuff, I guess. And then we'll have to decide what you're doing for next round.
Woo.
Bye, everybody.